We are now officially only a few hours away from the 2024 NFL Draft, and it is an exciting time for many fans of many teams, yours truly certainly included, because, listen closely, Bears football is on top! No, the antithesis of Bears football might actually be some good things. Anyways, so after all the mocking, all the debating, all the watching of prospects that everybody may have done, now it's shit or get time. So here I am with my final one-round mock edition. I wish I would have done more, but one round is sufficient, I think, to get the job done. So I'll put it in the comments. Included a couple of trades here. I was trying not to go too hog wild. Really hard for me to know at this point. I think really hard for anybody to know. Could be a bunch of talk about a bunch of trades. Could end up being a whole big nothing burger. You never know. I think it's pretty locked in right now is that Caleb Williams will be the pick at number 1 for the Chicago Bears. Feels like it's leaning 80-20 at pick 2 for the Commanders with Jayden Daniels. That's what it feels like right now. So you could certainly say the draft really begins at pick number 3. And will the New England Patriots sit there and take a quarterback, namely Drake Maye from North Carolina? Or will they entertain trade offers to move down, maybe get a quarterback later, knowing they have to get one, but knowing somebody may come calling with a price that is too good to pass up on. And you look at teams that could potentially move into that spot at 3, specifically for Drake Maye. The two teams that stand out to me are the New York Giants, who I'm not surprised. Brian Daboll probably looks at him. Joe Schoen looks at him and says some version of Josh Allen. And then the Minnesota Vikings saying, hey, we're about to have Caleb Williams in the division, also have Jordan Love in the division. Jared Goff is solid, and Minnesota has Sam Darnold. They got to have something. They got to swing for the fences here, and I have to imagine Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi are both aligned on that. They would have to be the other team. I've got Minnesota making the move up, giving up 11 and 23 as part of a package to go up from 3. And the reality is for the Vikings, it's either trade up to 3 and go get Drake Maye, or you stay put at 11 and you hope either J.J. McCarthy falls to you or you end up taking Michael Penix Jr. at that point. Whatever, right? But it just wouldn't make sense for them to move up. If you're the Patriots, you don't want to move down from 3 without getting 11 and 23 back in return. If you're the Vikings, you don't want to give up 11 and 23 without moving up 2-3. So this could be a big nothing burger in terms of the Patriots end up sticking at 3 and taking Drake Maye, or the Commanders surprise everybody to take Maye at 2, and then you wonder, do the Patriots take Jayden Daniels at 3? That's the way it feels right now. And then you get to the Cardinals at 4. A lot of talk about could there be quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've been thinking it a little bit. I'm backing off at the moment just because I would imagine Arizona feels well positioned in terms of we get an overwhelming package, then we have to consider it. But if we don't, we just sit there at pick 4 and give Kyler Murray a weapon, and in this case, Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm going to go the safe route here and assume the Cardinals don't trade down. They stay put at 4, and they take Marvin Harrison Jr., although apparently there was some talk of some crazy-ass 3-team deal between the Patriots and the Cardinals and the freaking Vikings, and wouldn't that be something, right? But for now, I'm sticking with Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4. The Chargers at 5, a lot of assumptions that they're going to take wide receiver, and that certainly could bear out. But knowing Harbaugh, and you've seen some other conflicting reports talking about offensive linemen, it wouldn't surprise me if they're looking for a bookend tackle opposite of Rashawn Slater, which introduces a J.C. Latham into the mix. And some might say, oh, really, over Joe Alt? Yeah, over Joe Alt. I think he's a tad bit on the overrated side, and I can see the Chargers valuing Latham and what he means and what he brings at the right tackle position over what Joe Alt could bring. The Giants at 6, McCarthy be on the board. He probably incredibly tempting there. But then you wonder, could you really justify passing up on a Malik Nabers? Now, I will say this at this point. If the top 5 of this draft goes the way that I'm projecting it, and you get to 6, and the Giants take J.J. McCarthy, then at that point in time, everything I mocked for pick 9 and the Bears making this big trade down, fuck that shit. You sit there, and no matter what, it's Malik Nabers time, bitches. So many things can happen here. This is going to make a kind of exciting Thursday night, a kind of exciting day 1, actually, because lots of things could happen, lots of uncertainty here. I've still got the Titans at 7 taking Joe Alt after the Giants take Nabers at 6. Atlanta at 8. That could be a spot where somebody wants to trade up into the top 10 to potentially jump Chicago for one of the remaining top pass catchers. That's certainly a possibility here. I've got them saying we need some help on the defense, or we're going to take Dallas Turner from Alabama. Atlanta's a spot you could watch, that they could bounce back. But then we get to 9. And interestingly enough, you're starting to see some mocks, I think, having Fashanu going to the Bears at 9. I've got the opposite. And I've got the Bears trading back big from 9. The Rams looking to move up into the top 10. Could be for a pass catcher. Could be for a marquee left tackle. And I've got them trading up for the marquee left tackle here in Fashanu. And you could say, why would the Bears do that? Because they're trying to recoup some value from other picks that they've traded away. They could feel pretty good about a player that they would get at 19. Have more swings at the plate in this year's draft. I'm not saying it's the strategy that I would prefer or the path that I would go down, because I've been on record saying the Chicago Bears' number one goal of the program, in this draft is to come away with 2 elite players, and one of them is Caleb Williams. Somehow, some way, they've got to find a second elite player. Not, they get a bunch of solid players. No, you need difference makers. You need game breakers. You need game changers. If you're trading back from 9 to 19, you better make sure you get a fucking game breaker and game changer. I don't know that Byron Murphy II is that type of guy, but the Bears taking him here at 19, I just would be unsurprised if Ryan Poles continued to invest heavily in the defense. You can certainly argue 3 technique is a big need, but then you say, why did you just take Dexter and Pickens in the 2nd and 3rd round? Basically, by taking Murphy at 19, you're saying one of those 2 guys is now relegated to the bench no matter what. Why would you do that? You have other needs too. A lot of different perspectives to go, right? But at the end of the day, this would be peak Bears football. Draft the potential franchise-changing quarterback at 1, and then surround him with a fucking 3 technique defensive tackle. Because of course Ryan Poles would. Because of course the Chicago Bears would. Newsflash. This is the knock on wood manifesting Rome Odunze mock draft for the Bears. This is me trying not to put the Jeff Jinx on it. That's all I'm saying. And now, of course, I open my big yapper. And that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to trade back. And the Bears are certainly open for business. You're seeing reports about it today. And that's not a surprise. Nothing wrong with exploring. But if you pull that trigger, you better be right. And this better be a slam dunk draft. Don't fuck around. And remember, the name of the game is supporting Caleb Williams, not the fucking defense. You can forego the defense a little bit. They kept Eberflus. If he's supposed to be so goddamn good as a defensive-minded head coach, then let him fucking prove it. Build up that offense. So now you get to the Jets at 10. And I imagine they'd have to feel pretty good about somebody like a Odunze falling into their lap. Crazy shit like this happens in the draft all the time, right? I've got the Patriots at the 11th pick, ending up with J.J. McCarthy. It's got to be much better than taking him at 3. And, if you think about, would you rather have Drake Maye at 3 if you're the Patriots, or would you have J.J. McCarthy and pick 23? I might rather have J.J. McCarthy and Xavier Worthy as a combination versus one Drake Maye. I might. As you look at the rest of this draft, the similar types of themes really adhere in terms of the top of this wide receiver class is outstanding. The depth and talent in the offensive tackle and the offensive line group is fucking amazing. You've got 5 to 6 quarterbacks going in this draft in the first round. I've got Michael Penix Jr. going, I think, 28 as part of a deal back for Seattle, because Buffalo, I've got them peeling up to 16 to get Brian Thomas Jr. I feel like they need a difference maker at wide receiver. They don't have that. They got to go up and get one, in my opinion. And you might say, well, it's kind of cost prohibitive for them to go up at this point with their salary cap situation, what have you. And they need a difference maker with Josh Allen there. They've just got to have one. But other than that, if I'm a Bears fan coming out of this mock draft, I'm feeling kind of torn because Caleb Williams at 1 is amazing. Byron Murphy II at 19. Yay, defense. But yay, additional draft pick capital for day 2. But yay, defense. I get it. You can take a look at your team and what I have them mocked for round 1. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'm sure I'll get plenty of shit for this. Give me a break. I threw this together in like an hour and 15 minutes. Come on now. I was trying to fly through it as quickly as I possibly can. Needed to get it done before the draft. So, all right, buckle up, bitches. It's going to be a fun next 3 days. It's time to do that NFL draft bag.